is an energy reading for a new angle. So I have 4 crystals here. I'm going to get to the other 3 later. I'll start with my fuchsite, and this, among other things, is a very good grounding stone. It has a very calm energy as well. It's very good for healing. Um, but so this stone is very good for grounding, and this is what I use to surround myself in positive energy at the start of the reading. And I immediately started feeling very grounded. At the same time, I was almost feeling like I was resisting the grounding somehow. And so then um, when something's trying to ground you and you are almost resisting it, your brain almost gets a little fuzzy or kooky. So hopefully that doesn't come out during this reading. Uh, but anyway, my brain is a little more quiet now. But so then I surrounded you in the positive energy, and I was using the fuchsite as well. And then it occurred to me that this almost resistance, this is more almost a kind of, okay. I feel like I'm talking a little bit too fast here. Okay, so excuse me. So when I was surrounding you in the positive energy with the fuchsite, it was becoming pretty obvious that grounding is really a necessity for you. It's something very, very, very important. Another weird thing, so weird what was coming through. Like not that I'm ever expecting anything during my readings, but still at the same time, this was the last thing I would expect. I don't know when I ever tell someone something like, don't meditate or don't be so spiritual or something. Like, I mean, telling someone not to meditate is almost like saying don't be so spiritual or something. Not that I'm saying that, because how can you ever stop ever being spiritual, since we are all spirits anyway. But yeah, there was almost this feeling, almost like you meditate too much, or like not necessarily completely meditation, but almost spiritual activities, like calling on different things, or whatever. It's almost like you're doing it too much, is the energy that I was getting from your guides. Um, Almost that there's a need to be more physical. There's a need to be more grounded. There's a need to be like less up in the air, kind of. And I saw this picture as I'm the fuchsite, when I was visualizing the energy going out. I don't have a certain way that I visualize the energy surrounding the person. I just start visualizing that the energy is going out, but then it has a mind of its own. It starts doing whatever it needs to be doing. And in your case, it was sort of outlining your whole body, kind of like a star, like it's going around one leg and around the other one, and then around an arm and the head and the other arm. So it's when I was coming around the feet, I was just sort of seeing the feet kind of dangle like this, and it had almost this childlike kind of energy with it, almost like that, like your feet are kind of dangling around like this, yay, kind of energy like that. Um, then then there was an energy with your hands. There was an energy on your hands. Um, I think maybe that might have to do something with receiving. I'm not exactly sure, but there was definitely a block with the hands. I know you said something in here about receiving, I think it's, yeah, I think you had some stuff in there about receiving when it comes to finances and and clarity, something about clarity. But I kind of read these questions as I go. What was I saying? Oh my goodness. Okay. What was I saying? No. Okay. Seriously, I can't, I cannot, like reflect this energy. I know that, you know, your guides are trying to get this energy across, but at the same time, I don't want to be reflecting this because I don't want to not know what I'm saying for your reading. What am I saying? And this Fuchs site is seriously having the weirdest effect. Okay, right. So there was an energy on your hands, and this definitely felt like a very blocked energy. Like, because I was feeling it on my hands, and it didn't feel very pleasant. Like it almost had a sensation with it that I didn't like. And then coming around a minute ago, I started laughing before I started talking about the hands because I was thinking about your head actually up by the crown chakra. This was almost feeling like it was kind of too open, and again, there was almost this feeling like don't meditate so much, or don't like constantly uh like interact with other dimensions and entities and stuff so much all the time, like to like so much that it ungrounds you. It's not that that is, you know, terrible to do, obviously not. I do it all the time. Lots of, I mean, spiritual people practice this and they practice spiritual things, but at the same time, especially for you right now, there was this energy coming in like don't like just to ground more, to focus on physical things at the same time, to make sure that you are clear. So the only kind of like as far as meditation that would be good to do, it's not really so much a meditation. Um, like as far as like sit there, you know, and oming, you know, focusing on clearing your mind and meditating or contacting some being or something, but just like, you know, you're in the kitchen and your mind is going off somewhere, and just bring it back, focus on being in the present, focus on grounding to like the spot where you are, the physical spot where you are. There's another energy coming in of like focusing on your body, focusing on your physical body. Oh, they're reminding me there's something in here too that you were talking about with your physical health. Okay, I feel like Wolf is supposed to talk to you about that since since you're doing the coaching with him. I feel like he's gonna talk to you about that stuff more. than what is going to come through during the reading. Okay, I went blank again. My mind is so blank. It's so weird. Okay, right, yeah. But there was another thing also with the crown chakra, and this was why I was kind of laughing. But there was this energy. It almost seemed like there was something going on with the actual brain. It almost felt like there was a little bit of damage or something that causes it to almost go off or disconnect or something. And not something bad, not something that could be something that could easily be something that could easily be corrected. So not something really, really negative or like something that could not be pretty easily fixed. But it almost felt like I almost got the energy, like I don't know if you were a hippie at one point or something, but or even if this is a past life thing and it almost carried over because now I'm getting an energy of that also. But it almost because if you have some kind of physical damage in another lifetime, sometimes it can carry over into this one, and you can have some kind of symptom from that, whether it's small or it's big. That can easily happen. Um, so it could be both, but it almost felt like smoking. Like it almost felt like a drug or something. It had almost caused your brain to just be okay with not being as focused or being as present. So and that's another thing coming through. If that not that like weed or something like that is like a bad thing. So it's not like I'm not getting some energy like never take it again or whatever. And obviously, anything coming through during a reading, you have to go with what you feel and all of that. But what's coming in more is just that for right now, the whole point is ground yourself more to the physical and don't do anything that is taking you more out of the physical, sending you away somewhere, like I said, some other dimension or something. Even I get this feeling of almost like a meditation where you're actually traveling off somewhere, you're going somewhere to meet someone, and I just get like they give me a strong feeling of not doing things like that at this time anyway, because you really need to focus on this dimension and ground yourself in this dimension. If you want to manifest physical things, you really need to be here now. So again, the only type of meditation that they are really coming through with is this idea of clearing your mind. Maybe that's part of the reason that I keep going blank too. I don't know. But clear your mind, like where you are focused on the present. And there's also this energy of kind of being scattered all over the place sometimes. And again, this almost childlike energy. And I don't feel like that's all a bad thing. Some of this is probably just your personality somewhat. Um, but almost over. So that would be something to kind of, what's the word? Uh, just to kind of, yeah, just not allow it to be overly so, overly, I guess just overly ungrounded, even overly playful, where it's almost this, like, I'm trying to think of a good word for this. Overly playful, where it's just kind of here and there and everywhere, and everything's okay, kind of energy in this way. Again, I feel like some of this is your personality, but at the same time, in some ways, it's almost your challenge a little bit, to ground. So it's almost in your personality a little bit, um, or at least it can be. Like, it doesn't have to be. It's almost in your personality a little bit right now to be kind of ungrounded. I don't feel like it has to be that way, but in other words, it can lead to that. And there's the feeling, there's just this feeling of ground now, and for that to be a focus. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you these other crystals here that I have, and then I'm going to get more into these questions. So this is my citrine, and this, I always say this is like a personal power kind of crystal. That's really what it's for. Oh, and that reminds me, when I was setting up the sacred space, getting the code name, all of that, actually I had already set up a general sacred space because I had some other readings going on. But when I was getting the code name and everything, I had some music playing, and I was specifically playing solar plexus meditation music, and that's what this stone is for. This is a solar plexus chakra. And even when I was surrounding you in the positive energy and I was coming around with the fuchsite, I remember there was like an energy at the solar plexus, but I'm not really remembering now if it was a blocked energy, or exactly what it was, or just an energy that you needed. I'm not really remembering that, but this is good for the solar plexus and personal power. So stepping into, in kind of almost your right to be here. So you have a right to manifest things. So they're almost coming in with like an almost an energy of unworthiness, that there's an unworthiness there, that is part of the block, as to, they're saying the clarity, the lack of being clear, understanding what your mission is, what your purpose is, what your divine uh, career is, your divine path, and how to bring more to yourself, how to receive more. Both of those things. Some of this has to do with unworthiness. Oh, right. I remembered something else while I was getting the code name. Also, when the fuchsite, it was coming around this way now, because like I said, it started out kind of outlining you. But then it was coming forward and back. Well, it went back this way, and when it went around to your lower back. And the lower back has to do, a lot of the times, well, it has to do with emotional things. It has to do with like emotional baggage. A lot of the times can be held here in the lower back, and also family issues can be held there in the lower back, relationships, stuff like that. So as it was coming around there, I was definitely feeling some energies when it comes to family and relationships, and also like relationships with men, like romantic relationships, it felt like. Um, and it definitely felt like there was some baggage with that. Um, but then I even got a feeling of it almost felt current. All time is happening simultaneously. So occasionally I can feel something current and it feels like future or past, or vice versa. There can be something past and it feels like it's current. But not usually, I'll say. And this almost felt current to me. Like like I was getting a feeling of past, like there was some past baggage that was held here. And again, I get a feeling of past life also, but this life too. But then I was getting a feeling almost of something current going on, and it felt like it was with a man or like a possible romantic partner or a romantic partner, and not that everything with the relationship is going wrong necessarily, but it felt like some things were. It felt like something was causing more irritation in this area. Something was causing some of this old stuff to be coming up more. So something was causing some issues here in this area. And again, I get this feeling of unworthiness, and that your guides want you they want to make sure that in every area you know that you are worth being treated appropriately. You are worth being treated with respect. You're worth being treated well. Okay, so I'm moving on to another crystal now. Which, okay, I'll go with this one. So this is my pyramid. It's some kind of jasper. I do not know what kind of jasper, but there is a lot of red in it. So this always makes me think of the root chakra, obviously, and even sacral chakra. There's some orange in it, but especially root, and also because it's a pyramid, it can automatically have to do with grounding in the root chakra, and really any chakra, just because it's a pyramid. But also the pyramid does hold a lot of masculine energy, and of course manifestation energies. That's really what the divine masculine energy is about. The divine feminine is more about your like insights, psychic ability. The masculine energy is about manifesting, and also the feminine energy is about your ability to receive, and the masculine energy is about your ability to put out. Okay, do I need to say anything else about this one? I'm not really sure. But I'll move to this one now. So this is the fourth one, and this is my tiger's eye. And tiger's eye, again, it has to do with grounding. It has to do with personal power. It also a lot of times has to do with physical strength and being connected to your physical body. Um, and I also get a feeling of courage. That's true. This can also be about courage. And I get a feeling of actually grounding, like almost grounding in courage and releasing any fear into Mother Earth. 10:44. I'm looking at the clock now. 44. 44 is always like a yes to me. It's always confirming something. So I always make a note of that if I see a 44. Okay. So now I am getting this Andromedan kind of influence, and I do feel a guide from there. Gosh, I don't know what is going on with this during this reading. That's so weird. I was just about to start talking about talking, and then I'm getting this in my throat again. But anyway, I was gonna say, and the Andromedans, like Plashstar that I channel, she's extremely intellectual, and that is something that the Andromedans do carry. So they're very outgoing, they're very outspoken, they're able to speak very well, they're able to handle themselves. And so I do kind of get a feeling of the coachings that you are definitely on the right track with this idea, because you're going to be speaking with people and listening to them. And I do get the feeling that you are pretty outgoing, that you're able to handle yourself well, that you're versatile, you're able to carry on a conversation, you're able to move with the conversation, you're not really going to get awkward and have some awkward stare, with with people when they're trying to have a conversation with you or have a session with you or whatever. So anything to do with listening and responding, this I get a feeling from them that this is right up your alley. This is something that they're giving me a feeling that you would genuinely enjoy it. You would feel like you were helping others. You would feel like you were assisting them. I almost feel like with problems, and you're able to help them find solutions for it. And I get a feeling from them like of specific things which you've probably already thought of, but things like, setting up a website and different things like this, almost like there's just a feeling that this would all go well. There is a feeling like that. Like if you decided to do this, there's that feeling too. Like you don't have to do this, obviously, but there's a feeling like if you decided to do this, that it would go well. There's also a feeling that you would get to speak with like anyone, like everyone from like all over the world, it feels like any part of the world, or like any type of history or background. So there's a feeling that it would be interesting. You wouldn't know who exactly you were going to talk to or who exactly you were going to meet. But there is, again, gosh, my back, I'm actually burning. My back is actually burning. I'm touching it and it's hot. Um, and again, there's this feeling of relationships, and not just like with men. There's a feeling, or like romantically, but there's a feeling like parents and childhood things, or even siblings. There's a feeling like that. Um, like things going back to that, and there's this feeling almost like you have in some ways been programmed to see yourself in an unworthy way, or not accept your worth well enough to receive everything that you would want. And again, clarity, to receive clarity on how to bring to yourself the things that you would want. And I feel like how you're saying that you're studying to receive this certification, I get a feeling like that is like that's a good thing. Like that's something good for you. Like you're taking a step to better yourself, better, like like to know more, to be able to kind of like expand your horizons more, do more with yourself. And so it's almost a feeling like this is something that you're doing out of feeling worthy. And I get a feeling from them like you need to be making sure, you need to really examine um, aspects of you that do things out of feeling unworthy. And not only that, I get a feeling from them like things that trigger you to feel unworthy, but then I even get a feeling of unhappy. Like notice when something, like in a sense, makes you, nothing can really make you, but triggers you to feel unhappy or to feel unworthy. But I almost get the feeling like sometimes you aren't consciously going to think to yourself, I feel unworthy now, but you might consciously think to yourself, I feel crappy now, or something like that, or I feel unhappy now. But they're saying to watch out for that. If you get a feeling like I'm unhappy now, and also to understand that um, like a good majority of the time, a lot of the time, this an unhappy feeling is really going back to worth. Something has triggered you to feel like you are worth less. Something's triggered you to feel like you're worth less than you are, that you're not worthy. And I'm feeling my sacral chakra. And I feel my solar plexus also. So some of this is going to the sacral chakra. Now I'm even feeling my eyes, and this feels like a childhood thing. And this almost feels like the way you saw others treat one another. Um, like people who were almost like parental figures or like authority figures, um, people who are older than you. Some of this can be siblings too. There's almost a feeling like that, but this is especially like authority figures and people who are older than you or like parents. And how did you witness them treating one another? So your parents, what was their relationship like? Like, or ships, what were their relationships like? Um, and I get the feeling of how did they treat you? How did they treat others? Like if you have siblings, how did they treat the other siblings? Um, and even like aunts, uncles, people like that. How did they treat people in general? But then also, and I think especially the energy is especially how did they treat each other? How yeah, how well did they treat one another? And look at how you observed them treat each other. And also, how did they treat you? How did they speak to you? How did you feel when they spoke to you in certain ways? So understand why something would trigger an emotion. So if someone is speaking to you this way now, then think about, and it triggers an emotion, think about why. Why does it trigger an emotion? They're even giving me the feeling of a positive emotion too. Like some things trigger happiness. Why do some things trigger happiness? Again, I get the feeling of almost a romantic partner here. I get a feeling that even that you almost have to be careful with. Like if things are going up and things are going down, for instance. Um, and this could be at any time. This doesn't have to be current either. Like I get the feeling of past here. Um, or past here as well, maybe. But I'm especially feeling past right now, and it feels like up and down, and almost a feeling like remember, like just because you're happy 1 second, it almost remember being down. Almost is the feeling that they're giving me. I don't know if I'm saying that quite right. It's like remember that you can go back to that and think about why you're happy now, and don't let someone almost convince you to feel okay about something that isn't really right, is the feeling. Don't let someone make you feel better when really you're disturbed or really you feel crappy. And like if someone makes you feel badly, don't let them or triggers you to feel badly, don't let them turn around and trigger you to feel happy in another way. And now it's just okay and it's fine, and you will just stay in this cycle or in this pattern is the feeling that I get from your guides. So it's like if something doesn't suit you, recognize that it doesn't suit you, whatever the relationship is or whatever the thing is or whatever the pattern of behavior is. But especially I get the feeling of relationships. And this is general too. This isn't only a romantic thing. This is also general. And some of this is parents. Some of this I feel with parents. Again, I get a feeling almost like siblings. But this could be in any area. You know, this could be friends too. This could be uh, this can be general as well. Anybody that you know or that you operate in some way with, that you have any kind of relationship with. So make sure that they are treating you in a worthy way, in a that they're treating you well, and that you're treating them well. But I get the feeling that a lot of the time the problem isn't so much you. You are attempting to treat the other person well, um, and you're allowing them to kind of overstep their bounds, is a feeling that I get. So your guides want you to be careful with that. Don't just let people kind of treat you how they want, and not treat you well. And I get a feeling from them of making sure that you put a stop to things, um, even to relationships that that aren't that 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 aren't serving you, is what it feels like, that aren't serving you. And to voice your opinion, to voice when something isn't working, to voice it, and to make sure that it stops. Make sure that way, that pattern of behavior stops. Um, that pattern of being stops. And I'm just getting a feeling from your guides that there are cycles that need to end. Cycles of how you treat others and how they treat you. Cycles of what you give to others and what you allow them to give to you, or to not give to you. And cycles of putting out positivity and receiving negativity. Like, hand somebody flowers and they give you a slap in the face, you know? Like, you are putting out, you're trying to send out a good emotion, for instance, and they want to almost use that to give you a bad one, is the feeling that they're sending. So that's actually pretty passive aggressive to do something like that. To take somebody's good emotion and try to give them a bad one instead. That's like a transfer. That's a very passive aggressive thing. But the reason that they're saying this stuff is because if you're allowing yourself to receive anything negative in this way, if you're allowing yourself to receive um, negativity in other ways, then you're not going to be able to receive the positivity that you would want in all areas. If there are some areas where you're out of alignment with making sure that you feel worthy, and yeah, making sure that you feel worthy, then there are other areas that are affected by that. There are other areas where you can't pull in what you're worth. But again, I get a feeling of parents. So this would be some things to kind of jot down before your session with Wolf, to think about some of this stuff, like triggers, like they were talking about, like um, emotional responses to certain things. What triggers you to feel happy? What triggers you to feel sad or unworthy? What triggers you to feel angry? All these things. But I get a feeling that anger anger serves a purpose, though. To feel angry about things would serve a purpose, because this is going to help you with setting boundaries, which is the real purpose of anger, like an authentic anger. There is a good anger, there is a positive anger, like the indigo energy. There is definitely has a warrior, edge to it, for sure. There can be an anger with that energy, but it's healthy, it's positive. That's because the indigo energy is supposed to remove negative blocks, negative systems. It's supposed to step in and say, this isn't right, and remove it. So anger can definitely serve a purpose if it's healthy, if it's for that purpose, for that reason of setting a boundary. Otherwise, it's not really an authentic anger, it's something negative. And then it just festers and it turns into something like rage. But even if you end up with something like rage, originally what you had was an anger, and it wanted you to set some boundary in some way. And then if you didn't, then it's festering in there, and then it turns into something worse. And then sometimes you don't even remember what the boundary was. It can be from a long time ago. You don't even have the opportunity to set that boundary in that way, and you just have this old leftover residual built up anger or built up rage from that, from not setting boundaries. I also get the feeling that they're not saying that it's that like you never set boundaries. You definitely have the ability to set boundaries, and you have done that before. Um, and you still can now. So, like, they recognize your ability to set boundaries, that you have done this before. This is something that you are capable of doing, and you uh, do exude that at times. Um, but they're saying to get focused on clearing your space, uh, physically as well. I get the feeling of, and I almost get the feeling of almost removing some things from your environment, just that you intuitively feel, to almost make space for new things. And even the feeling that you can buy something, you can buy things like, and put them in your house. Again, that you intuitively feel that you um, that almost represent what you're bringing in now, what you're going to receive. And I feel this energy of letting past things go emotionally, and of really grounding in your courage, and again letting go of fear, letting any kind of fear pass down into the ground, but even like residual anger, regrets, sad emotions, unworthiness, any of these kinds of things, quieting your mind and being in the present and focusing on grounding that down into the earth. So they're saying that grounding exercises would be the one kind of really spiritual practice that they would suggest right now. And they're not saying like let go of spiritual practices altogether, or don't be spiritual or something, which would be completely impossible for you. And just in general, like I said, that's completely impossible because we are all spiritual. We're all spirits in a body. But the point is just not getting unfocused and not traveling off to some other world or something, to focus on staying in the present moment and staying in the physical as much as possible. I also see you like when you're sleeping, like when you're sleeping, almost like your astral body is just like flying, like like almost like your astral body is like never in your body at that time. Like you go places, even if you're just like above your body, like you are like not in it. But there is definitely a feeling that you seriously travel. Like you must have some deep sleep sometimes. You must, because it feels like your astral body just like travels. And it's not that it wouldn't travel normally, but I feel like if you were more centered and grounded, then when you were sleeping, you would a lot of the time, not always obviously, but more of the time, like a lot more of the time, you would, or I get the feeling most of the time, for a while anyway, your astral body would be closer to your physical body, and then you would actually be able to focus on helping yourself physically during those times. So in other words, astrally you would be able to actually work on your body, be able to help repair your body. And even your other bodies, your mental and your emotional body, you would be able to actually work on it while you're sleeping, instead of just always going off and being with the extraterrestrials and angels and everybody. Okay, so that is all your guides have to say. They're coming through pretty intensely. That is the remainder of the reading. So, and by the way, it wasn't just the Andromedan guide coming up. There were a couple of guides that I was feeling, but I feel like a whole group. But there were a couple that were talking. They didn't exactly reveal themselves, other than one was from Andromeda. But just to let you know, it was more than just Andromeda. So anyway, thank you very much for allowing me to do this reading for you, a new angle, and I hope that this helps you in some way. Thank you. Namaste.